Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Damon Beyond. Today I'm joined by Connor
Hey guys.
and Mike.
Hello.
And sort of a somber discussion today. I think we want to talk about addiction in gaming today. And as we all know, addiction is a horrible problem that can occur with basically anything, but it definitely has a significant presence in gaming. So much so that there are, anti-gaming laws in places like Korea where people actually die from not taking care of themselves and gaming, 24/7 at a gaming cafe or something like that. And I actually, Mike had the idea of bringing this up. So why don't you kick off the discussion, Mike? Do you have any personal thoughts?
The first time I kind of thought about this topic was actually in regards to Blizzard because I'm in a lot of Discords, and there's just this small group of people who have based their entire emotional well-being on one game, and that's not healthy.
Yeah, and when it comes to like MMOs, I can see how it's like easier for something like that to happen, right? Because it's basically like living another entire life, right?
Yeah.
Like for a lot of these people that are super into MMOs, specifically, I'm assuming you're referencing WoW, right?
Yeah, I'm referencing WoW.
Okay.
There's a lot of WoW people that just are having a bad time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's MMOs in general are super easy to conflate almost with your real life because there's so much when you think about your real life you think about your work, your hobbies, and your
Friends.
the community that you're a part of. And World of Warcraft can replace all three of those things if you let it.
I think like some of my first experiences with the World of Warcraft community, because I've never played the game, was actually when I'd be at like an amusement park and a guild would be having their meetup at the amusement park.
See,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be clear.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
But
It's just that it is these there's such a fine line in design too between designing a world you can be immersed in and designing a world you can't leave.
yeah.
yeah,
And right
and
now WoW's kind of fallen into that trap of being a world you really can't leave because now there's a lot of people that are so invested in the story that they just can't step away anymore.
so just an interesting anecdote for WoW. Blizzard's WoW player base has actually fallen by 50% in like the last 5 years or something like that. I saw that statistic the other day. So people are leaving WoW.
Yeah.
But this problem definitely exists. I would argue primarily in MMO spaces, but it could exist for any other game for sure. And I definitely think there's a line between like, I guess how I played MMOs as a kid, where I was quote unquote addicted, but not like debilitatingly so, and to people who are actually like debilitatingly addicted to video games.
Yeah, my closest brush with video game addiction was an old Korean MMO called Mabinogi that like I distinctly remember it ate up an entire summer of my life. Like I don't remember doing anything else that summer. I remember getting up, playing the game, and then eating dinner and going to sleep at about 4 a.m. And that's basically like my entire memory of that summer. And obviously it didn't stop that summer, but the point where it wasn't debilitating was I was not cutting school to play the game. I was eating, I was sleeping occasionally.
Yeah, I think the closest I came to actually being addicted to a game might have been Dota 2, but even then, I guess the games that I'm mostly attracted to, you eventually just get so sick of playing the game that you just stick it down because you're just so mad.
Yeah, it's definitely like regular for me to fiend for a game. Like it's what I'm thinking about while I'm at work. I'll watch videos about it all the time and like play it basically exclusively in my free time. I got like that with Factorio. I only played Factorio for like a month and I clocked over 150 hours in it.
Yeah.
But, I went to work.
Yeah, 150 hours doesn't sound like a lot, but when
it's in 1 month, that's a lot.
But I think it's important to emphasize, like, I think as long as if you play like video games for 150 hours a month, but like take care of yourself, you do the things you're supposed to do, you don't quit your job, like I think it's fine, right? Like,
There's also
obviously,
a
it's
line
not
between
that
addiction and functional addicts.
right. Yeah,
But
yeah. It's all sort of a gray. It's very it's a gradient, right? There aren't really lines, but like, and
a
I
lot
feel
of
like it's
games
easy
are
to transition from one state to another.
a lot of games are designed to be addictive though, and I think
Yeah, no.
it's really scummy. And sometimes they know they're doing it, but sometimes they don't. But, like, you see a lot of games marketing that will like advertise a game as addictive, and I think that's disgusting.
Yeah, especially it's prevalent in the mobile sphere, largely because they just want you to pick it up and keep looking at it over the course of a day, so you're more likely to spend money on it.
Yeah, yeah. I talked about a game on the show a while ago. This would have been this summer, I think, maybe. Might have been last year, Forager. And I think
Yeah.
Forager is nothing but addictive. There's no game there. There's just a feedback loop that gives you dopamine or serotonin. I forget which is the one they target for.
I think
I'm
it's
not a
pretty
chemist,
sure it's dopamine.
but all it is a dopamine feedback loop. You just keep like I hate it. I didn't enjoy any part of the game, but I kept like in the back of my mind, I just kept wanting to play it, and yeah, I just eventually uninstalled it because I know I would sit there and just waste hours of my life and feel terrible about it on it.
See, again, it's tough because like the carrot in front of the stick is like I would argue one of the core design decisions of the modern gaming, modern game design, right? Like I feel like you always want to dangle, that extra bit of incentive to keep the player playing, but like when it's intentionally designed to be debilitatingly addictive, that's when it's and like it's tough, right? Like cuz like like a game like Destiny, right? Like there's so many little things that keep you like, okay, I'm gonna stay on for like maybe just half an hour to grind out this one last thing, then I'll go. And then like it's like, oh, I'm so close to completing this that I guess I'll just stay on for that. Like little things that just keep you going. But like,
Yeah, and then there's the game that is designed to be addictive versus the game that is addictive because like Destiny 2, which was your example that I have a bit of experience with. Yeah, they're always dangling some slightly better stats or a rare item or another mission. They're always dangling that in front of you. But then there's a game like Civ, which, in my opinion, is not at all maliciously designed. It's just very difficult to walk away from because it's a long game.
Yeah, it's the formula of the game that's addictive. It's not addictive by design. It's just that one more turn kind of aesthetic that they eventually started leaning into it as like a joke. But
Yeah,
it's a
I really
real
don't
thing.
think that anybody sat down and thought like, how do we make it so? Because their business model isn't really conducive to that.
I think that's an excellent point. Yeah, like Civilization isn't like laden with microtransactions or anything like that. Like a lot of these other games are games that like have avenues to get your dopamine as quickly as you need to, right? But like Civ, I don't know, man. Like maybe the closest I've come to being addicted to a game is Civilization 5 while I was in college. Like,
yeah.
My God. Like,
I mean, Civ's one of those games you pick up, you play for like a 10-hour span, finish the game, and then you put it down for a week or two. And then that itch comes back, and you're like, I want to play another game of Civ.
I just remember the first time I picked up Civilization 5, I was like, what? I've never experienced anything like this before. And like before I knew it, like 12 hours passed. It was Saturday. And
I'm
I
a veteran of the series, so
I have Civ 6 sitting in my library, and I've wanted to try it, but I'm just not ready.
Yeah, eventually you become immune to the one more turn kind of feeling, and you can put it down. But that came to me after playing every Civ game since 2.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. I think eventually you get to that point, and I'm at that point now. I think I could put down Civ. Like, I mean, I still have to like fight for it, right? Like, if I'm in the middle of a game, I'm like, okay, like I want to keep playing, but I'm going to stop now. But like, I've reached this point. I think over 1,000 hours, like put in across both 5 and 6, right? Like, so you don't get to that point very quickly. But like, I just think it's so fascinating to think that Civilization is such an addictive game. And I think it's just because like the game design is so beautiful. Like it's so like all the systems feed into each other so well that like it's just such a joy to play.
Yeah, a lot of strategy games like that, you just want to keep playing because why stop now? You've almost won. And then 20 hours later, Why stop now? You've almost won.
Plus, there's like I mentioned, like the carrot on the stick. Right, there's so many organic carrots on sticks in Civilization because like there's so many different, basically gameplay systems that mesh with each other that combine with each other so well that like doing one thing here will lead to another thing somewhere else, and like you just want to keep experiencing that. At least from my perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think Factorio has the same problem, although totally different genre, where like you set a goal that sounds fairly simple, like I want to set up steel production, but in order to set up steel production, I'm going to need to increase my power production. In order to increase my power production, I need to tap new oil. In order to tap new oil, I'm going to have to get a train yard set up, and you end up making this long to-do list and stuff, and you wanted to do this one tiny thing, and you look at the clock and it's been 4.5 hours, and you meant to go to bed, 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of production line games have that effect. I've even noticed that in my Minecraft server.
Oh yeah.
Where I'll set a goal, it's like, oh, I want to run power to this area, and it's a 3-week long process.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think while those can be deadly, and people not deadly, but like they can get you, those sorts of things can sneak up with you. They're not like designed to be that way. It's not
right
intentionally holding you hostage. Whereas,
Maple Story,
the only reward you get is bigger numbers, and that's your carrot on a stick. You just want those numbers to get bigger and bigger, and you're not.
That definitely is the end goal, but like I remember, so like the closest I've come to being addicted to a game, like I said, is Civilization and Maple Story back in the day. And I've talked about Maple Story so much on this podcast, but I just want to reiterate, like, that's one of those games I would play for like 10+ hour stretches, and like, like to the worry of my parents, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think that's another thing we can go into, like, parents constantly being worried about addiction in games. But
Maple Story sneaks up on you too, because it starts out where you don't really care about the bigger and bigger numbers. It's actually more of an adventure game where you're discovering this whole world. But once you've committed and you've really explored this world, suddenly all you care about is making these numbers bigger, and you've already sunk all this time in. So you feel like
and
you
like
do it.
Even though that's the end goal, like Nexon, or was it at the time, or whoever, like did a really good job of creating like sub goals, like that all led to that ultimate goal. Like, as I remember, like I really wanted like some sort of staff or something, and like back then, like you could go into the shop and buy it, but I was poor, or you could like grind monsters and hope one of them drops. So I would just like sit there for hours and kill the monsters in this map over and over again, in the hopes that like this 0.05% drop would trigger or something like that,
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's a shiny new item, but that shiny new item only exists for the sole purpose of boosting your damage, right? So it all leads back to the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers, man. The numbers.
Yeah, I try to avoid games that expose too many numbers to me for reasons like that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because like RuneScape, the other MMO I used to play, like the numbers were reasonable, right? Like you're hitting like 2s and 3s, and like by the end game you're hitting like double digits, right?
The numbers
Maple Story you're hitting like
are reasonable. The numbers you can't see are insane. Like,
right, yeah.
When you get to level 98, you're halfway to level 99.
Right, like that. Yeah, that XP grind is disgusting, and for good reason they don't show it, right? Because that'd be a huge like dissuasion, right?
Yeah.
Like
nobody would ever want to get to level 99, although they do know that, and they do get to level 99.
Right, but like actually exposing that, I feel like would be detrimental a little bit. But yeah, like with RuneScape, you've got the double-digit numbers like near the end game, but like with Maple Story, you're hitting hundreds of thousands or millions, tens of millions. Like, and it's just ridiculous. But it does provide that sweet, sweet dopamine.
That's all we're here for, is that dopamine.
Yeah. So Mike, you sounded kind of like you might know some horror stories about addiction in games. I've read a few. Like, I've heard of people in I think it was a Chinese couple who sold their child to pay.
Oh my god, yeah.
To pay for gacha game stuff.
Yeah, gacha games are another very predatory.
Yeah, you hear about it a lot in foreign countries and stuff, and I don't think that's necessarily fair, because I think stuff like this is just as bad here, but it's easier to write about it other places.
Yeah, it's easier to ignore in your own country and then like say, hey, these wacky Koreans, man, they like their StarCraft. This man played StarCraft for 12 hours and died.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the story I was thinking of, right? Like he was in an internet cafe. He played for like 12 plus hours straight and he died and no one even budged, right? Like everyone just kept playing the game. It's only when he started to smell that people noticed he had died. It's pretty morbid. Yeah, like when stuff like that happens, I can definitely see the argument like for Korean governments or Chinese governments to be like, "Hey, we need to impose some sort of like restriction. You can only play for X amount of hours a day, something like that." But yeah, it's tough because like that sort of stuff, like people, like I was telling you earlier that I was playing Civilization for 10 plus hours a day, like on a weekend, right? Like, and that's definitely not healthy behavior, right? But I wouldn't say my playing of Civilization was debilitating because I was able to like still do the things I needed to do.
Yeah, you drank water and
Yeah, people making emotional attachments to video games, no, don't do it. It's a trap. The developers do not care about your emotions, they only care about your money.
See, I think, yeah, so like I think that concept, I feel like addiction is one thing and the emotional attachment is another thing because I feel like a lot of people emotionally attach themselves to video games, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's the whole reason we have the, console wars and stuff like that. People are like hardcore Sony fans or hardcore Xbox fans.
I mean, that's also all there is to some games, like Animal Crossing, to a lesser extent Stardew Valley. Like the only thing those games have is your emotional attachment to them. And I wouldn't say that.
I hear you there, but like, I hear you there, but like, I'm talking about like, you know what I'm talking about though. Like,
you're talking about identity politics. Like,
yeah, that's the better word. Yeah, like,
yeah,
people associate their identity with these companies, and
welcome to Game Talk Goes Political, but not political.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's a mistake. I mean, I guess I always think of it in terms of streamers who've built their career around a game, but I guess there are like people who are World of Warcraft players or are Call of Duty players.
Absolutely, yeah,
just who they are.
Their identity.
That's great.
It's you see the same thing around content creators as well, where people will associate their entire person around a content creator.
Oh my god!
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's not healthy.
That's even more unhealthy, I would argue, because that's an actual
unhealthy, because
person that you're never going to interact with. Yeah,
you're
Hopefully
just a number to them.
Yeah, and then that can go into the whole like weird angle with like gamer girls like selling their bathwater and like.
Oh god, did we have a discussion about bathwater at some point?
I think we might have mentioned it. Like,
yeah, I think it's been like a running thing.
But like, it's just weird, man. Don't be weird.
Don't be weird. You'll like obsess over a company, but then you realize the company, you're not their friend. You're a number, and they don't care. They only act like they care to make sure you buy their product.
Yeah, and like I see this, so I frequent like gaming forums a lot, just because that's something I'm into. And like one thing I see very often, like it's fine to stick up for the things like you're into. Like if I'm into Uncharted or The Last of Us, I'm gonna go on there and like explain and defend it, right? Like say like why I think this is so great. It's one thing to do that. That's fine, right? Like, but don't put others down, right? Like, and I see that so often. It's like, oh, this Xbox game sucks because Xbox doesn't know how to manage game studios, and like inherently this game's gonna be bad because of that. Like stuff like that, man.
Are you guys aware of the thing that happened to girlfriend reviews?
Oh my god, yeah, that was
the people who like the very specific subset of people that like The Last of Us 1 and hate The Last of Us Part 2 and are just vitriolic about it. Like,
yeah, to the point where it's psychotic, quite honestly. Like that.
No, the things that happened to girlfriend reviews were quite literally psychotic.
Yeah, that was so. Like for those who don't know, and like definitely check out the channel because she and her boyfriend did a video on that, and it's very.
They also just have pretty
illuminating
in general.
Yeah, they're hilarious. But like some dude, like what did he do? He faked death threats to himself
From girlfriend reviews.
Yeah, he pretended to be. Yeah, he accused girlfriend reviews of sending him death threats, but in reality, he was writing himself death threats.
From
and he,
like 3 different accounts too.
it's just
did
like
this,
in
yeah.
this weird attempt to like take them down just because they like The Last of Us Part 2. It's just like, dude.
And they didn't even give it like an amazing review. They just like liked it. Like
It's
they
just-
didn't call it the second coming of Christ or whatever.
And like this is even weirder because it's like, yeah, like okay, I can somewhat empathize with like attaching to yourself to something you love, but this is attaching your identity to something you hate, and it's just
Yeah.
like, dude, like that's so bad for so many reasons.
Sad.
So unhealthy for you personally as well. You know,
Yeah.
like get a life.
It's just stop. Just get log off. Go outside. Breathe.
I mean, I don't know. I definitely have identity in media. I see it a little bit. Like, I identify a lot with with my favorite genre of music, folk punk. Like, there is a certain element of that genre of music in my identity, and that I feel like is okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't make it your entire identity.
Yeah.
Taking parts of like a culture around it is fine. That's perfectly normal for us to form.
And you can extend that to games
around something.
You can extend that to games too, right? Like you personally really like roguelikes, right? And that's not, I would argue, a popular genre. Like it's kind of niche,
I'm a
but like
player for sure.
But yeah, you're not like, I don't know, man. Like you're not going around calling other genres garbage.
Yeah, and if somebody like doesn't like Spelunky, I'm not gonna like eat them alive or even the game I would call the greatest game of all time, Outer Wilds. Some people don't like it, and sorry, like.
Don't listen to Connor. Connor, if you say the Outer Wilds is bad, Connor will come to your home.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the one thing he will actually.
He'll do it. I would never come to anybody's home who came on our Discord and said that the Outer Wilds was bad and listed their home address. Nothing would happen at all.
Okay, side note, like this kind of stuff makes me afraid to play the games Connor recommends. Because I know I will be judged so hard if I don't love it. So I will play the Outer Wilds one day, but like Connor has hyped this thing, like he's calling it the greatest game ever made. Like how could it possibly live up to that hype?
I say that sometimes. I don't know that that's fair, but it is the most important game ever made.
Okay, but it's the same thing.
You're really hyping it up. I better open this game and it better be the next great game.
I mean, if somebody had told me that and then I played it, it would live up to my expectations.
Okay, so, well, I will be the judge of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the general message here is just like if you find yourself like finding yourself falling into like addictive pattern or like an identity crisis of sorts, I think it's just best to step away. Like even if that doesn't seem like the smart choice to you personally, like I feel like that's what you need to do for your overall general health.
The less you want to do it, the more you probably need to.
Yeah. So.
Oh, there's more news.
Yeah, the lawsuit got worse recently.
Yeah, Blizzard.
The Blizzard lawsuit. Yeah.
They got caught destroying evidence.
Oh my god, yeah. So we're all on the same page here. Yeah, that's hilarious to me. You know what that actually indicates to me? Because like I don't think Activision Blizzard corporate, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're cunning, right? And I think they made a calculated choice. They were like, okay, the consequences of us destroying this evidence are worth it. As in, the evidence, if it was uncovered, would be even like worse for them.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
It would have been truly damning.
Yeah. So like that, if you're if you find yourself in a situation like that, like it's just like, how did you get to that point?
I think they were panicking. And in their panic, they did a big stupid because that could get them into even more legal trouble.
I don't think there was any stupid involved. I think that they knew that whatever was had been documented would be far worse for them. I think Ahmed's right.
Yeah,
they hoped California wouldn't figure it out, though.
Oh, I'm sure they did, but
but they're going to. Like, I mean, like, yeah, it's just. It's
Blizzard's just digging a hole.
Actually, I guess this is a sort of follow up on that news story, but it's funny because like the trailer for Call of Duty Vanguard finally dropped, and we kept saying like this game is coming out this year. Like, could this be the year that COD gets dethroned? And like the Call of Duty Vanguard trailer comes out, no Activision logo, which is hilarious.
It also, I want to point out, those comments, like, I just decided to check the YouTube comments, and I know that that's not a gauge for how this game is going to sell, but people were ruthless in there, like, just tearing into Blizzard, or Activision Blizzard, and saying the game looks like trash, which is impossible to say because it was a cinematic trailer, because of course it was, because the game's not done.
Everywhere I've seen it all over Twitter, Facebook, wherever. No one's excited for this game.
Yeah, but it's still going to be the top selling game.
Yeah, it's still going to sell because
like I think
that don't care.
Yeah, the audience, the primary Call of Duty audience are not the people tuned into gaming news, I would argue. So
I do see that the majority of Call of Duty players are even sick of Call of Duty because they haven't done anything to fix any problems.
Yeah, but they still buy it.
They have massive cheating problems in Warzone, and I guess they haven't done anything to fix it.
I wanted to point out, like, I think I saw like there was a bit of news that like there was like a leaked alpha screenshot of like the main menu or like the opening sequence, and like no Activision logo there either. Like they just had like the copyright Activision like in a corner, very tiny font. So like Activision knows that like, even their name is poison now, and they're trying to hide it on their own games, which is just. And it sucks even more that like literally all of their studios are still working on Call of Duty. So
I feel like if a Call of Duty ever dumpsters, it's going to be disastrous for Activision because that's their only.
That's their cash
cow. Their only release. They don't have any other games.
I mean, I think diversification is like business 101 or investment 101, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, you can look back at EA. I mean, EA is as stupid as some of the decisions they've made. They, they saw the writing on the wall in like 2010 that they didn't own enough properties, and that's when we got like Dead Space and was that when the first Mass Effect was around 2010? No, that was like 2007.
Yeah, Mass Effect was earlier.
Yeah, but like Mirror's Edge. They launched a bunch of new properties.
Yeah,
because they they realized they didn't have anything.
I think it's a case of hubris in Activision's case. They were like, okay, we have the best-selling game in the world year over year. It's just like
hubris if they fall.
If we focus solely on that, then like it would be even bigger, right? That I get it. That's their mentality, but like, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you're right.
But
it's
if
only hubris
goes down in all this. There will be blood.
Spyro has gone down, dude. Like they're working on.
Well, yeah, no, I mean. Spyro still exists, but like if Activision goes under and they don't sell all of their properties, then Spyro could end up in limbo, and like nobody can make a Spyro game anymore.
We're still eons away from talking about Activision going under, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like you guys keep throwing the word hubris around, and it's not hubris if it works. And so far, it has consistently worked.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and Ubisoft is in trouble. EA recently released all their accessibility patents. Like they still hold the patents, but they aren't going to charge anybody for using them.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
EA is the good guy now. I've seen it all.
What happened? What happened to our the worst gaming company for like 3 years running?
Honestly, looking back, ever calling EA the worst company in gaming was kind of not it. Because
that was another instance of gamers being gamers, I think. Like,
because this was before crunch culture was like in the spotlight and stuff. And from some of what I've read, EA is one of the best places in the industry to work as far as crunch goes.
I've heard good things about EA. I've heard garbage things about just about every other studio.
EA kind of is that meme that I've seen posted around. Actually, this is probably not something other people have seen, but I want worse games made by more people who work fewer hours and get paid more, and I'm not joking. Like that was kind of EA for a while there. They, they'd
have the lower quality games, but they'd have so many people working on them that it didn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know about the lower quality games, right? Like Battlefield's pretty polished, I think.
Yeah, Battlefield's been
real stinkers out there.
Oh yeah, for a good chunk of the 10s, there were a lot of for every like jewel, there were at least 3 stinkers of a game. But that was literally every development company.
Mm.
I'm not
It feels
let
like-
you forget about Mass Effect Andromeda just yet.
Oh yeah.
I will never forget.
Well, the wound is now fresh.
SimCity 2013.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like last generation of current last generation, there weren't as many like shovelware stinkers that I've noticed, or no, not shovelware stinkers, but big flops as there were in previous generations. Because I remember the 360 era had a lot of prominent game flops.
So
games
yeah,
are also getting more and more expensive to make. So.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, I think having a flop in 2021 would be disastrous, right? Like either the parent company finds out beforehand and cans the project, like we saw with like Scalebound with Microsoft. Like that was supposed to be a huge AAA like dragon riding fantasy game that just got canned, right? Like it's not ever going to see the light of day. Like they had already spent like millions and millions of dollars on that project and they just canceled it. Because like if it comes out and bombs, this is like a AAA game. That's like a multi tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollar mistake, right? So yeah, I think it's increasingly unlikely that we'll see like actual AAA bombs. Because like I feel like if a AAA game were to bomb, it would be canned before it got to the point where all those resources were put into it.
I mean,
it does
Anthem
happen. It's not like
happened.
it never happens. We had
It happens sometimes.
we had Avengers, we had Anthem.
It's recently the games that I've been seeing bomb are games that are released as games as a service, but the studio isn't ready for the costs of keeping up with the games as a service game.
Yeah.
So it just crashes.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said this before, but games as a service is like still a formula not many people understand how to do correctly.
Also really
like,
just not that the way we do games as a service right now is so formulaic that like you're not gonna play Destiny and Avengers and the what's the
Division.
Yeah, the Division. Like you're gonna play one of those, and so and also like you're the same kind of person who plays all of those. So like the market for games as a service, at least in my mind, I'm making this up, but in my mind, in my experience, anecdotally, like they're fighting over a maybe not super niche, but like finite slice of pie.
Yeah.
That like it's probably more defined than like I mean, what am I saying? Like I'll play every roguelike that comes out, you know? Every roguelike fan is probably going to play most of the roguelikes that come out. So like Spelunky is not competing with Hades. That's just not really the case.
And it's just because like these games as a service games, like no one's going to play Destiny 2 and The Division and Avengers and Anthem because like each of those games has such like a time sink involved, right? Like it's almost MMO level, right? Like I don't know very many people who play like WoW and Final Fantasy and no,
you're going to play one of these games.
Yeah,
like your identity.
Yeah, I mean like because these games take so much of you to, right? Like they take so much of you to progress in, but also give you a lot of like highs as well, right? But
it's all about those highs. It's not about the lows. It's about the highs.
I'm gonna try Destiny 2 because it just had crossplay announced, so I'm probably gonna get into that soon.
Yeah, that's exciting. And the Witch Queen stuff. So obviously you guys aren't familiar with Destiny lore, but like the Witch Queen stuff is like the big thing. Like Savathun has been the big thing that has been teased since the previous major expansion. Actually, all the way back since Destiny 1, the Taken King. If we're being real. Like this is a huge moment for Destiny 2 with the Witch Queen expansion. So I'm super pumped for that. Even though I have not played Destiny in any meaningful capacity for like a year or two now, but I will certainly be coming back. And with crossplay too. Maybe you can join our clan, Connor.
Yeah, maybe. We'll put that one in the maybe pile. I'll definitely like the guys I usually play games with though are on Xbox, and so we'll probably hop in and at least like get to max level with some characters.
Yeah,
and play through the base game essentially.
I highly encourage like if you've got friends on Xbox, like you all need to do a raid because like
I know I wanted to do a raid. Like raids look like the most fun part of Destiny.
Raids are some of the best gameplay experiences I've had. Period. Not just in Destiny. So
yeah. So
they're excellent.
I seriously look forward to that. Yeah. I mean, raids are a great concept, although they do also. I'm not even going to say that this falls into the addiction category, but like I know people whose entire life schedule revolves around World of Warcraft raids.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes
I know
so many
people that do that as well.
and so much organization. And I'll be like Friday night, hey, you guys want to go out? Like, and they're like, oh no, I got a raid starting at 7, and I need to be prepared an hour before that. And
Yeah, and like WoW raids in particular, because I know like Destiny raids, like, I mean, if you're like really
Destiny raid's like
incompetent,
5 people, right?
six.
Okay, because a WoW
but
raid
yeah,
30.
yeah, 30, and like it could take like like 20 plus hours. I've heard like for some of them. Is this true? This might be a lie. Is that true?
No, because I've played games with them after their raids. The raids are like 2.5 hours long or something.
I think it depends on if they're a competitive raiding group or not. Because I know at the top end, it's just people playing for 14 plus hours trying to be like the first to complete something.
They'll also like do raids back to back over and over because like it's so hard to get that group of 30 or whatever people together. So they'll just do it back to back to back.
Yeah,
because they have the group together, so they should use that while they have.
Okay, so this might I know nothing about WoW, but I did some Google search and like maybe this is like the first clear or something because there's no way a raid took 154 days.
No,
probably for like first.
It could have taken that long for somebody
difficulty.
because aren't there like puzzles and stuff or something? Like you have to figure it out.
Yeah. Like and Destiny raids are the same way, right? Like the first time, like it's very special when a raid drops for the first time because like everyone's racing to see who in the world will finish it first, and obviously it'll take the longest because like once you figure out the raid mechanics, like you can grind them out in like 3 to 4 hours in Destiny. But like when they first drop, like I remember. For the the Riven raid, I forget what it's called now, but like the Dreaming City raid, that took like over a day for someone to beat, for a team to beat, maybe over 2 days. I don't remember. It was like between 1 and 2 days. So like, and that was just the first time, right? Like after that, like people optimize the strategies and figure out what to do. But like when you're first figuring that stuff out, it can take a long time.
Yeah.
I looked further into it, and the 154 days was for the highest difficulty first kill of the boss.
Okay.
So the first finish
of
a
long
raid.
Time.
Yeah. That's people putting like
half a year.
Half a year, and each of those days are 8-9 hours of just going.
That's wild.
I think maybe at the time it was a little different.
I wonder if they even knew it was possible when they put the update out.
No, I think they knew it was possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they have to know that, right? Like, otherwise you're just wasting.
I'm thinking, like, you have to be. If it took 150 days, you probably have to be like some of the best players in the world to do it, or to figure it out. And game developers tend to not be the best players in the world.
Yeah, but like I don't know how it works for WoW, but like for Destiny, they definitely have like the top players like come, like they fly them to Bungie and like have them test out the new content and stuff. So, I don't know. I'm sure something like, and I know like WoW is bigger than Destiny, so I'm sure something like that happens there too. But
yeah,
how do we get into the talking about raids?
I mean, you can't talk about
addiction. Right. Yeah. Raids in particular. Like I've fallen victim to that too, where I'm like, okay, I have to schedule my weekend around a raid, and this is a Destiny raid, which is, from my understanding, low key compared to other raids and other MMOs. So
just to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with that being your social experience for the weekend. Like,
yeah,
especially last year.
Right.
Yeah, last year, if your social experience wasn't online, then
then you suck. Yeah.
You suck. 2020 was a year where I discovered VR chat was great for socializing.
Yeah, that's gonna be me next year probably because we're diving right back in. Looks like.
Can't wait.
Well, at least we'll have that third shot to tide us over.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we have some people doing horse anti-parasitics, but it'll be fine.
We don't talk about those people ever.
Man, whatever happened to the term gamer? We killed it. We murdered it. I'm disappointed in the community. We murdered that term, and now it's dead.
I mean, I definitely feel embarrassment when I hear that word now.
Yeah,
for
whenever
sure.
I'm called a gamer, I'm like, please don't say that cursed word to me ever again.
Yeah,
I'm someone who plays video games.
Yeah, I'm a video game enjoyer.
gamer is offensive.
Gamer is an offensive term. Please don't associate with me with those people.
I mean, I would take being a gamer over an anti-vaxxer who eats horse deworming concoctions any day. So let's just leave
It'd
it
be
at that.
like calling someone a Smash player.
Oh
That's
my
gonna be
God.
my new insult.
That's yeah. You smell
You
like
know,
a Smash Bros.
it-
player.
it's
Like a
it's
Smash
funny
Bros.
because like
player.
I love competitive Smash Bros, but like I totally get it because like awful stuff keeps coming out from the Smash community, and whenever it does, I'm just like, see, this is why Nintendo doesn't affiliate with you guys.
See, this
No,
is a community thing that's really funny because there's a lot of like vitriol against people that don't shower in the Smash Bros. Community. And to be clear, I shower every day, but it is like a celebrated thing in the folk punk community to be a crust punk and never shower.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
It is absolutely pretty gross.
Crust punk. That's something I can't unhear. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like there's always that stereotype that people who do certain things don't shower, and that's also true in the tabletop space in my experience.
For some reason, it's really gross to me to think about it in a nerdier hobby. But when I think about it in a punk show, it's just like something I have to put up with. And I don't think
they're just there.
I mean, I think there's also a side where like smelling bad in a room full of people that are like up moving and are sweaty and stuff is nowhere near smelling bad in a room where everyone is seated and trying to focus on something.
Just
Yeah.
stewing in your own filth.
You still should shower, y'all.
Yeah, just take a
Like,
shower, clean yourself, wash your body.
I saw an Among Us meme that was like, there's an imposter among us, and it was when somebody smells like soap in the punk van.
God.
when somebody smells like soap at a Smash tournament.
Yeah.
Ugh.
See,
I don't know. I think the weirdest time I had, sometimes going to the Four Horsemen's a bad time.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of those people don't shower. And there's always certain days where certain groups of people will come through and it will stink.
Yeah, you gotta shower, man.
You should just shower. If you're in a community where the stereotype is that people don't shower, be the difference. Shower.
Yeah, you can be the change.
You
You know,
Be the
you wanna
change
see in
that
the world.
community needs.
Shower, use deodorant. Thank you.
Please.
Well, I think
Unless
we
you're
might
a
be
crust
done.
punk.
We might be
All right.
ready to move into games we've
I
been
know
playing.
Connor
I
has
think-
been one of his big games of the year has come out, and he's.
I don't even think I'm going to
itching
talk about it this week because I haven't finished it yet.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
You have something else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about 12 minutes a bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot you played that too.
Yeah, so you guys are probably thinking that I'm going to sit here and dunk on this game really hard because I did dunk on it really hard in chat when I played it. But after digesting it a bit, I kind of like it. So I like it. I like it more than I did for sure. The ending is kind of a lame gut punch, and
Do you want to give a quick sign
yeah,
off?
I'm going to give a quick overview. So 12 minutes. The story is you are a guy who just got home from work, and you walk through the door, and your wife comes out of the bathroom and is like super happy to see you, and she's like, "Yeah, I made us dessert. We need to talk later." And you talk to her, and she has the really good news that she's pregnant with your child, and it's like this really happy scene. And then a cop shows up at the door, says you're under arrest, handcuffs her with zip ties and puts her on the ground, then handcuffs you and starts talking some nonsense, and then he chokes you to death, and you wake up back at the door, and you're stuck in a time loop, and you have to figure out how to not be in that time loop anymore. And it's essentially a point-and-click adventure game.
That sounds like an amazing premise. I didn't know any of that, by the way. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so it's a really good premise, and there are a lot of things that it does pretty well because it is essentially one long puzzle in a point-and-click adventure game, which I think is kind of clever. The only problem is it does have some really bad point-and-click adventure tropes, like puzzles that like I would have never solved, like stuff that just doesn't make sense to me. And even like to this day, the solution, like now that I know it, the solution is kind of stupid and bad. So like it loses a ton of points there for just kind of being a member of that genre because I've never played a point and click adventure that doesn't have that problem. But overall, this is also interesting. The husband is played by James McAvoy, the wife is played by Daisy Ridley, and the cop is played by Willem Dafoe.
Wow, that's a star-studded cast.
And that's almost all the spoken dialogue in the game. I think there are one or two other voices that come up very briefly.
Willem Dafoe's done video game voices before, right? I feel like he has.
Probably. He's very good in it. I actually think that... So it's funny, because I think the actual story writing is not incredible, but the moment-to-moment, like the dialogue, the characters feel extremely real to life to me. I think they're extremely good.
Quick side note, the video game Beyond Two Souls, Dafoe is literally in the game. Like, he's mocapped in, like he's playing.
Really
yeah, so he's just Willem Dafoe. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to spoil it because you kind of said you wanted to play it, Ahmed, but maybe
I plan on it eventually. Like
Yeah,
I say that about like most things, but yeah.
Because the things I hate about the game, like really hate, are spoilers. So I'm not gonna do that. But there are just some story stuff that I don't like, and I think that the ending is really stupid and dumb. Characters are extremely well written. It's more just the macro story kind of falls apart, especially towards the end. But the way the game does one continuous puzzle all the way through is really cool. So like if you're into point and clicks or you're into art house games, I'd check it out. If not, don't waste your time, because if those things don't appeal to you, you're not going to like this game.
Yeah, and I do remember like this generated a lot of buzz when it was shown at I think E3, and then like
I was excited for it,
and especially with names like Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe, James McAvoy attached. That's like not normal, for video games.
No, so, and it's a small publisher too. It's Annapurna. It's the same people that published Outer Wilds.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely kind of a unique situation for this game, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny that because like you posted in our chat that 12 minutes is stupid, and then like literally seconds later I read an article saying Hideo Kojima thought 12 minutes was incredible and now he wants to make an adventure game.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah,
Hideo Kojima's pretentious.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was so funny.
But yeah, that and Quake are the games I've played.
I started playing a game that I talked about I bought like a while ago. I bought a game entirely for its soundtrack.
What is it?
I bought Katana ZERO, and oh man, is it a lot of fun. It's a 2D platform. It's a puzzle platformer. It feels like a 2D Ghost Runner mixed. It's like it's hard to describe. But you're a samurai of some sort. And your job is to just go through and clear a level of enemies or like assassinate a guy. You die in one hit, they die in one hit, and if you die, you just rewind back to the start and you can slow down time and stuff. The gameplay loop is pretty okay. I think I'm halfway through it. It's not a long game, and the developer's working on an entire new expansion of the game, I believe. But the soundtrack is all this like neo-noir synthwave, and I really love it. Because at the start of every level, the protagonist will put in headphones and start up his cassette player.
Samurai that puts in headphones. That's stylish.
It's like neo-noir kind of cyberpunky. I don't know, the setting's very vague. They talk about this war with like the Cro-Mags, so I don't know what that means.
Sounds like a science fiction term.
But yeah, it's very trippy. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. And there will be like, don't talk to this DJ, and then you talk to the DJ, and the DJ's like, hey, I just got this drug from a storage unit, and it made time go all slow, which is what your character could do. And you go to a psychiatrist so you can get some medicine from him. It's a good game. I do recommend buying it. It's super short, though. I think most people clock in at like 3 hours of play, and I'm about an hour in. So,
yeah, but you said you bought it for the soundtrack, which is
I bought it strictly for the soundtrack.
Pretty unique. I don't know if I've ever bought a game strictly for the soundtrack, but
all right. I also bought Fury for the soundtrack, but I haven't touched Fury yet.
No, Fury has really good gameplay too. But yeah, that's cool.
On a lighter note, I started playing a vehicle building game. Main
is it called?
assembly.
I was gonna say, is it Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
No, I'll talk about that at some point. I will make a spirited defense of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts for an entire podcast episode. But no, I started playing main assembly, and I think vehicle games need to take a more voxel-based approach to building. I'm tired of block-based vehicle builders. I'm sick of them. They take forever. They don't look good. I want to deform. I want to make cool things.
Yeah, I was thinking like, I was joking when I said Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, but now that I think about it, I think that's the only vehicle builder I've even played.
That was the first one I played, and it sat me into a genre that I will always love to hate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you create main assembly. You create robots, and there's a very, very intense programming interface in it. Like, I think in the demo for it, I made a quadcopter that automatically sensed its altitude and would adjust on the fly. And I like the power that it offers me.
Yeah,
Poor Connor.
And we're back.
Connor's sitting at 5,000 ping.
Yeah, I'm back at 28 now. We're good.
Okay, great.
That's all. That's really all I have to say about main assembly, because there's not much to say about it other than it's a really, really nifty vehicle builder.
I'm trying to remember. I played a vehicle builder not long ago, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was on Game Pass, though. I don't think it was main assembly.
Main assembly launched early this year, I think. I could share more Hell Let Loose antidote, and because that game has me. It's grabbed me. It's grabbed me and won't let go.
Oh yeah, Hell Let Loose. You talked about that last episode, I think.
Yeah, I have an addendum to that. I forgot about the moment when I was a medic and I was literally just walking into this room and an artillery shell strikes the roof and a guy's pieces rain down on me, and I just look at him like, I can't fix that, and walk out.
Oh my god, it has jibbing?
It has jibbing.
Oh.
The first time I walked into a building and saw this just chunks of person fall down from above me, I'm like, oh god, what is this? How do I fix this?
Jeez, that's
I will add that now that I've played the sniper class, it is very satisfying to get a headshot.
Yeah, I bet. Especially if it's jibbing.
Oh, it doesn't give, but you get this nice ding of the round impacting the helmet.
So I've learned a new word today.
Jibbing? Yeah. Jibbing's been around forever.
Dude, if you don't know what jibbing is, you need to play. That was another game I played this week that I wanted to talk about, the re-release of Quake.
Oh,
yeah. It was. I'd never played it before. Me and my buddy, Quake released on Game Pass with crossplay, and me and my buddy played through all of Quake and one of its expansions, and like, the game's just good. It's just a really good shooter, and it's super fulfilling. Like, jibbing people. I played a bit of Deathmatch online too, and I just cleaned up. It was super fun.
Sweet. Okay. I guess I can round us off. So I'm going to be very boring here. I've really not been playing games much lately. I do have I guess I do have one game to talk about, and one game I will save for later. Next week when I have put some more time into it. I think Connor, you know what that game is.
Yeah.
But
Psychonauts 1, is that?
Yeah. Too early to call. Like I've only put like 45 minutes into it, and way too.
Did you like the 45 minutes you played?
I liked it and disliked it. So
yeah, it's definitely an old. I mean, it's a PS2 game.
But I think the dislike is largely due to the oldness of the game, which usually shouldn't bother me. But like,
you might want to pick it up on PC. It might be on Game Pass, but I know you can get it on Steam for like $1, and it'll run at 4K, 60 frames per second. Like,
yeah, I think I might do that. For $1. Yeah, that might be the move. But anyway, yeah, not going to talk about Psychonauts this week. But I did play a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima. So Ghost of Tsushima, they released an expansion for that game, and they released the PS5 upgrade to that game, which adds like DualSense support. And
I read about this. I read that game like transformed with DualSense support.
Yeah, dude, the DualSense support is crazy. Like, you can feel like the wind in your controller, and you can feel the steel of the blades clashing, and it's just And like when you're on your horse and you're galloping, right? Like the gallops feel different when you're on like grass as opposed to like a wooden bridge, as opposed to like a rock. Like you can feel the trotting differently in your hands, and it's just stupidly good.
I gotta pick up one of those controllers.
But like Ghost of Tsushima, like especially in 60 frames per second, like it transforms this game. Like this game, yeah,
that's like a high action game, isn't it? I'm surprised it wasn't at 60 already.
Yeah, like it wasn't. Yeah, because like the visual ambition on PS4 was insane. Like I still can't really believe this game ran on a PS4, but like on PS5, it's right at home, and it's straight up one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Like the art style is just so gorgeous, depicting that Japanese landscape, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm having more fun than I did like the first time I played through it, and like before I liked it quite a bit, but like this time I'm kind of smitten with it. Yeah, it's a fantastic game, and of course I'm playing it with Japanese dub, English sub, because I'm not a normie.
Here we go.
Yeah,
but a boost in frame rate can really transform a game. Like
I've always heard that, and I guess I believed it to an extent, but I didn't really. But it's so true, right? Like it really is like. You have to see it to understand how transformative it is.
Yeah, I had to... Actually, I failed colossally when I was in high school. I was that kid who was always whining about playing consoles at his friend's house because of the frame rate. And I was the only one who saw it, and it hurt me badly.
Yeah, you were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like...
Well, I was also just kind of being a dick, but...
Yeah. No, but like I honestly get like that too. When I'm at friends' houses, I like go into their TV and change their settings.
Oh
like,
my god! If I go to a friend's house and they don't have game mode turned on, I throw a fit. Like,
yeah, no, I do that too, and I get made fun of, but I don't care. Like,
no, how do you play games with that latency? Like they play games.
I don't know.
Like how do they do it?
And like I remember once I was like watching a movie at a friend's house, and they had like true motion, clear motion turned on, and I was just like, this.
Was that just interpolated frame rate?
Yeah, and it's just it creates that like soap opera effect.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fix this for you. Like, you'll thank me later. But anyways, yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, great game. It was the swan song to the PS4, right? Like it was the last PlayStation exclusive released on that console, I believe. And I think Sucker Punch, they always made games that I really liked. I really liked Infamous, the superhero games.
I didn't know it was Sucker Punch.
Yeah, that was Sucker Punch.
I like that too.
And but I think Sucker Punch did Sly Cooper as well, right? They did. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Sucker Punch has always made great games, but I think Ghost of Tsushima has basically taken them to another level. I think, right? Like, and I don't see them straying away from Ghost of Tsushima anytime soon. They've got a mega hit on their hands with Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm very much looking forward to the sequel, which is surely coming to PlayStation 5 in the coming years. But that's pretty much it for me. That's all I really played over the past couple weeks now, I think, since we last recorded. And to let Connor get back to Psychonauts, I'm gonna call it here. This is Game Talk. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast service you use. Click the link in the description of this podcast to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Connor and Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And you cut out right there, Connor, so I'm going to have to do something.
I know. I saw it. Could have some idiot, like,
I understood none of that.
Sure, saying words.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There he goes. He's gone. He might be back.
I highly doubt he's coming back.